Magnus Infernum.
Greetings, this is Magnus Infernum, coming at you with a Magic the Gathering terminology. Pitch. There are, what you can say, varying degrees of accuracy when it comes to the term pitch. Well, in its purest form, a pitch spell is a card that has an alternative cost to cast that allows the player to exile the card of the same color as the spell cast from the owner's hand. The act of exiling the card is referred to as pitching. There are 26 of these cards in total that have appeared sporadically throughout Magic's history. A prime example of a pitch card would be Force of Will, which is for 3 generic mana and 2 blue, an instant speed spell that states, you may pay 1 life and exile a blue card from your hand rather than pay Force of Will's mana cost. Counter target spell. So, Force of Will is a mana intense counter spell at a converted mana cost of 5. But the power lies in the fact that you do not need mana open to cast a pitch spell. The downside, of course, is that the player potentially decreases their own tempo by getting rid of a card from their hand, effectively making a pitch card a 1-for-2. However, competitive play has shown that cards with options, while simultaneously impacting the game in a meaningful way, is often worth a cost of decreased tempo or life. With that said, let's get down to the bullet points and show the 26 pitch cards throughout Magic's history. The first of these 5-colored cycles came out of June of 1996 with the Alliance set. These cards are Scars of the Veteran, Force of Will, Contagion, Pyrokinesis, and Bounty of the Hunt. All 5 of these cards had the alternative costs of exiling a card of the same color to cast the spell for free, but Force of Will and Contagion came with an additional cost of paying 1 life. It wouldn't be until the Marcadian Mask set, a whole 3.5 years later, till we saw another cycle of pitch cards in October of 1996. These spells were all rare, while the preceding cycle were a mix of uncommons and rares. The Marcadian Mask's pitch cards consisted of Reverent Mantra, Misdirection, Unmask, Cave-In, and Vine Dryad. Prophecy was the 3rd set in the Marcadian Mask block. It was also the 3rd set to have a cycle of pitch cards. In June of 2000, Magic the Gathering players were introduced to Abolish, Foil, Outbreak, Flameshot, and Snag. These pitch cards differentiated themselves from previous ones by being all instant or sorcery uncommon spells. More importantly, instead of exiling a card from your hand that is the same color of the spell, instead the player would discard the corresponding land card to cast a spell for free. Such as Abolish. An instant for 1 generic and 2 white, you may discard a plains card rather than pay Abolish's mana cost. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Foil deviated from this by not only requiring the player to discard an island, but also to discard any other card to pay for the alternative cost. In January of 2005, Magic further played with the idea of what a pitch card can do in the Betrayers of Kamigawa set. The 5 cards are Shining Shoal, Disrupting Shoal, Sickening Shoal, Blazing Shoal, and Nourishing Shoal. This cycle of pitch cards had the dependent variable of X in its casting cost, where you would exile a card of the same color as the spell, and the exiled card's converted mana cost becomes the X variable to cast the spell. An example of this is Blazing Shoal. An instant for X and 2 red, you may exile a red card with converted mana cost X from your hand rather than play Blazing Shoal's mana cost. Target creature gets +X/+0 until end of turn. This whole cycle were rare, instants, and arcane spells. Cold Snap, coming out in July of 2006, had a cycle of pitch cards that required the player to exile 2 cards of the same color to cast it for free instead of 1. These 5 cards have also been referred to as super pitch cards since they require the 2 cards as opposed to the 1. All of these cards are rare. Allosaurus Rider. A creature elf warrior for 5 generic and 2 green. You may exile 2 green cards from your hand rather than pay Allosaurus Rider's mana cost. Allosaurus Rider's power and toughness are each equal to 1 plus the number of lands you control. The 5 cards are Sunscore, Commandeer, Soul Spike, Fury of the Horde, and Allosaurus Rider. Interestingly enough, the very last pitch card is not of a cycle, but a solo card that came out of October of 2006 with the Time Spiral set, Snapback. A common blue instant spell for 1 generic and 1 blue. You may exile a blue card from your hand rather than paying Snapback's mana cost. Return target creature to its owner's hand. Whew! And that is all 26 pitch cards. But interestingly enough, I'm still not done. Some people may use the term pitch to describe an act of a card that requires the discard of another card as part of its cost, such as Tormenting Voice or any of the Spell Shapers. The terminology seems to have degraded to the point where MTG's YouTuber, Nizzahon Magic, referred to the act of discarding as part of a cycling cost as pitch in his MTG Top 10 Cards with Cycling video. Overall, I find it a good thing that players are attributing certain cards as having the ability to pitch. Seeing as how it has been well over a decade since the last true pitch card has been created, players are utilizing and altering the term to fit the current era. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the content, then press the like button. If you found the video displeasing, then press the dislike button. Bolt that subscribe button to stay up to date with future videos. This is Magnus Infernum. Till we meet again.